So when was your first brush with matrimonial law?
This was probably in 2011. I joined the profession in 2010, and I think 2011 early months was when my boss, who used to work with, gave me my first matrimonial matter, which was a transfer petition in the Supreme Court.
Okay. So what was your learning from that case?
So see, transfer petitions are usually, when somebody wants to transfer a case from one state to other, they come to Supreme Court saying that because I live here, the case has been filed somewhere else, उसको यहाँ से वहाँ transfer कराना है. So very, no legal issues involved, just your convenience is looked at, why it can't be here. So I started drafting a petition for somebody that my boss had as a client, and since it was my first draft, I started using fancy words, thinking that oh my god, it's going to be one of the best drafts that I put out. And jab I sat with the client, I realized that the fancy words didn't really work with him, and he comes from a background where he doesn't understand all of this, so it has to be very simple. Maybe the judge and I understand what I've written, he as my client has no clue what I've written. So my first learning was that keep it simple, because your client needs to understand what you've written. That would have been my first learning.
So what was this episode that made you realize it has to be kept simple and understandable?
So I remember I had mentioned in the petition, Pooja, that the wife left the matrimonial home on her own accord. And while we are settling the draft, this client is sitting next to me and he's like, "Nahi, madam, accord mein nahi gayi thi, wo to item thi uske paas mein." And I looked at him ki, is he for real? Or and I'm like, okay, मैं change कर देती हूँ उसको, So I realized that the words that we use in common language is how people understand it. So that is when it hit me कि नहीं, you can't be fancy with your language in court. It has to be simple. That was probably my biggest learning.